Moin and hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another review, and today I have for you another product from our friends at Fosi Audio. Yes, together with the SK2 we also sent over their P2 hybrid headphone amplifier. Yes, thank you again Fosi Audio for sending this over. A standard disclaimer here, they have not asked or influenced me in any way to say anything positive or negative for that matter, and everything here is exactly how I found it. Yes, this is a hybrid tube amp, and it's pretty cheap. I think it clocks in at like 50 to 60 bucks or something like that, so definitely very affordable. And I have another affordable tube amp which I will compare with a bit later on. But first, again, packaging accessories. You have seen this packaging again at the SK2 and a few other of their products. So you open it just like this, and then whoop, like that. On the inside you have some foam. Again, this is not color matched or anything here, and it's relatively thin cardboard, but for the price, honestly, totally fine. You would remove this here, and then you get the menu, and here would be the two tubes inside, and on one side the power supply, because yes, this takes a power supply and no USB, and then here the actual amplifier. So that's it, there isn't much to talk about here, but I have one point of criticism already. This power cord, while nice that they offer it for EU and other countries, it's just a bit short. This is about, I would estimate, 1 meter, 1.2 meters. So let me quarter it so you can see what I mean. That is the power cord quartered. It's a bit short, so I can't even use it in my desktop setup because I use a standing desk for work. And it means it's just a bit short, like it just doesn't reach quite high enough because I'm a tall person. I need my desk at almost maximum height. It's just a bit short. So next time for the audio, I would recommend include a bit longer cord here. 1.5 meters sounds like a good length. 2 might be a bit much for some. So yeah, definitely a bit more than this. But generally, the power cord is totally fine. Like there's a small strain release here. The cable isn't too thin. It definitely does what it's supposed to do. Next, we come to the actual device. That's the bad boy here. And we talk about build quality. Is pretty standard for Fosi Audio. This thing is again very well built. If I knock it against it, yeah, this is definitely solid aluminium. The wall strength here is again, as you can see at the back panel here, this is about, let's measure it for a moment. I have not measured this for the review, so we are doing this live here. This is about 1.8 millimeter wall strength at the sides, and I assume at the back and the front panel, I assume is similar thickness. Here you can, oh, actually this isn't all aluminum. No, this is actually a really thick aluminum plate here. So this looks like it's 4 millimeters or something like that. And I think the wraparound here also most likely is about 1.5 millimeters at least, because there's zero flex also on top here. And for this price point, again, for like 50 to 60 bucks, whoa, again, really well built. There's no real complaints here. The connector here seems to be integrated well, it doesn't rock around. The adapter they give you here is a bit loose already, so that is a 1 point to consider, but not really an issue. Then the button here flips nicely. You do notice though that the PCB is not as solidly attached as it is with, for instance, the MT602 from X-Duo. If I flip this, there's no rattle here. Like this is really, it just directly goes straight to the chassis. But here you hear the PCB flexing a bit if I do this. So, but for 50 bucks, yeah, it's fine. I don't have any complaints. Volume wheel. Same as with the SK02, so that means you have different levels. You can only go from one click to another, and we talk about this a bit more later in usability. But it's again, it's aluminium, it feels like it's well integrated, and there's no real complaints here. Let's come to the Mac. Also, all of those connectors seem to be well integrated. Nothing rocks, nothing is weird or anything. And there's actually screws at the back, so you might be able to open this and yeah, maintain it if you like. There's a selector here for the input, which has aux and yeah, the connectivity and power. This is already slightly transitioning to that. And we have RCA here, and then the standard input, yeah. So in terms of build, there isn't really much I can complain here. Again, for 50 to 60 bucks, this is absolutely price appropriate. And of course, the MT602 would be a bit more expensive. So yeah, it's a bit better built, but not that much better, but the price would indicate. And now I'm coming to connectivity and power. And I'm unfortunately unable to tell you how much power exactly this has. Fosi Audio does nowhere specify how much milliwatts or watts this has. I can only tell you the facts that they listed in the product sheet here, which is with a total harmonic distortion of smaller 0.1. Some other data sheets that I have seen also indicate smaller 0.03. I think it's probably more like smaller 0.1. And then signal noise ratio of 95 decibels. That's the only thing I can tell you here, besides that they claim it's usable for, I think, 32 to 300 ohm headphones. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Other devices, in terms of connectivity, they give you an adapter here, so you can use 3.5 as well. And the MT602 just gives you a 3.5 millimeter phone output here, like 3.5 millimeter and a 6.3, and an aux input as well on the front. While on the back here, this only has RCA pin. So yeah. But anyway, where was I? Ah, yeah. So, other than this, there isn't much to talk about your connectivity and power-wise. I think we can already go to small transition to usability here, because as it is normal with these types of amplifiers, they have a relatively high background noise. That means if you're using IEM, you will hear a hissing. It's not super loud or anything, but it is noticeable. And especially in quiet tracks, you will hear the hiss in the background. And another thing that is noticeable, that is connectivity and power, but also slightly transition to usability. Yeah, this is a hybrid tube amp, right? So I'm pretty sure its output impedance will not be close to 0. So that means it is a potential here, but it's also it not amplifies, but like gives you some sound signature, just because the output impedance is not close to 0. We talk about this more about the sound section later, but yeah, this is definitively one of the characteristics that most of these devices have. And yeah, usability wise, I mean, what should I say? Like, this worked flawlessly again, like most other amps that I have had. You just plug a headphone in, it creates sound. And yeah, as tube wise here, they use the standard 6K4, 6J1, 6J4, the standard thing, but you can basically plug most tubes into, similar to here my MT602, where I had actually changed the tubes. You could do this here as well. The standard tubes it comes with, again, I don't want to talk about sound now, but we are coming to this a bit later. So yeah, but you could change it, and as it is also the case with all other tube amps I have had so far, it is relatively difficult to remove them, insert them, so be careful when you change tubes. And the last thing I want to talk about when we talk about usability, which I have tried to tackle before, due to this being just a tick, it is a bit challenging to dial in the volume you want, especially with IEMs. I had the feeling with a few that are considered a bit more bright, but one tick was a bit much, and the next tick was a bit too little. Like, I was a bit like, yeah, I wish like there would be something between those two. And I will show you also some measurements probably in the background now, where you can see that the difference here can be actually, I think it's like 1.5 decibels or 2 decibels with some IEMs. And yeah, of course, the lower the impedance of the IEM, the bigger the change will be percentage-wise here. So I wish again this would be a smooth volume wheel, similar to what the 602 has here. This is a smooth volume wheel, like really you can dial it in pretty well. And yeah, I wish the volume wheel here would still have a tiny bit more resistance, because this thing has a lot of power. Similar to this, honestly, like I don't know how much it has, but even on my my 6SE version 2, for the measurement, I'm like here in order to get to like 77 decibels. That means you still have like this much volume left to give. So I don't know, like I assume this might be around a watt or something like that, maybe more, because it definitely gets more than loud enough. And yeah, that brings me now to the transition to sound. So it is hybrid tube amp as they classify it. How does it actually sound? So I will show you some measurements in the background here, so we have some objective data. First, as you can see with the Singolo, this has a light sub-bass roll-off here. I think this is more measured than audible. I'm not sure why this is here. I can't really perceive it. And then you can see AJ7M basically measures pretty much the same. And HE6E, you can also see the slight roll-off. And we talk about subjective after that. But I also checked out a few additional measurements for you here, because yeah, tubes usually tend to be, they give you a bit more distortion, they color the sound, they give you something that a solid state amp doesn't. And here, let me just show you the decay diagram. You can see decay of this is a bit higher. And let me show you one distortion measurement here. You can also clearly see is a bit higher. If this is audible is another point. And yeah, again, this is just the objective data I have collected here. And subjectively, so how does it sound to me? Interestingly though, compared to the MT602, which, okay, I have even warmer tubes in this one sounds more V-shaped to me, the P2. It gives me a bit more mid-bass. The sub-bass I don't think has changed much, but this, perceived-wise, this sounds like I have more mid-bass than this, but also at the same time a bit more mid-treble. That means something like the HE6SE version 2, actually preferred on my solid state or on the MT602. This one here came off as, yeah, a bit more V-shaped, the P2. But this is just true for the HE6SE version 2. The Singolo, for instance, because I don't feel so comfortable reviewing IEMs that are hybrid on setups like this. Yeah, as I said, with conjunction output impedance, you can expect some changes. I didn't measure them here, but it is possible that you do just experience changes there. And if you have something that is single DD, the changes of that are usually a bit lower. Doesn't need to be, but usually. And yeah, with Singolo, I had a feeling it just came off as slightly warmer to my ear. And maybe here, because Singolo is measuring, like, I would say, not the greatest, to me at least, subjectively, I didn't perceive it as to be more bright than other devices. So this was more a thing where it's only the HE6SE version 2. Unfortunately, I didn't try other over-ear headphones at the moment because somehow the pads of my DIY, they are a bit in a rough state and I don't have the exact same pad again, so yeah. But yes, so that brings me to the conclusion, I think. Yeah, if you are in the market for a hybrid tube amp at like, I think 50 to 60 bucks, what this is at the moment, I think it is a solid device. Like, it doesn't do much wrong. As I said, there's some improvement potential. I wish, for instance, this would be here a smooth volume wheel, not one with ticks. But overall, I mean, yeah, it does what it's supposed to do. It does what you expect it to do. And also the device itself doesn't get too hot. The tubes itself, of course, do get warm. And yeah, as you can read up online, you actually want to give it some warm-up phase before you listen to things, so you get the most out of it. But yeah, that's what it's supposed to do, and it also well built. And for this price point, if you're up for a hybrid tube amp, I think you can actually do this. I personally, at this price point, would probably rather get a good dongle, because that just will sound more clean. It will work with more devices. But if you really are purely up for an amp, this is fine. Like, I feel comfortable telling you, you can go for this. Albeit, as I said, personally, at this price point, I would just get a good dongle and call it a day, because that is just, it gives you so much more possibilities. You are not limited to the sound signature of this has, and you will not have also the background noise this also has, which is expected, so I'm not faulting it for that. That's how most tube amps do. So yeah, not really criticism here. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Questions, recommendations, or criticisms, please leave a comment. Donspektor out.